Good morning, everyone. My name is Tao. I'm from Group 6. So today I'm going to take charge of the features of English literature in the first half of the 20th century. My presentation includes four parts. The first one is modernist movement. The second one is main genres. The third one is themes, model of character, and points of view. And the last one is main characteristics. So let's move to the first one, the modernist movement. We also call it the modernism. It is the major literary movement in the first half of the 20th century. It appeared between the period of 1890 to 1950, but especially popular during the interwar years. It means the period of 1918 and 1939. In this period, the changes of English literature was defined by the term modern. These changes include the expansion of its ranges, its audience, its forms, etc. And I would like to give you another definition about modernism. According to Christopher Kipt et al., modernism refers to the radical shift in aesthetic and cultural sensibilities evident in the art and literature of the post-World War I period. The causes of this, there are several causes. They are the development of modern industrialized societies, the rapid growth of cities, the horrors of two world wars, gender, class, and race struggles. All of these elements shaped modernism. This period marked a loss of faith in God, government, and human goodness. It made people away from religious organization and focus more on the individual. So let's move to the second part, the main genres. There are three main types of literary work in this period: poetry, drama, and novel. Firstly, let's talk about poetry. Some of the foremost poets of the 20th century literature are William Butler Yeats with his famous poem A Prayer for My Daughter, and David Herbert Lawrence with Snake. Another female poet in this period is Mina Loy with the poem Love Songs. She challenged women to free themselves from their dependence on men. And in drama, the Irish playwrights George Bernard Shaw and John Millington Synge were influential in British drama. Shaw's career began in the last decade of the 19th century. One of his most famous literary works was Man and the Superman. George Bernard Shaw turned the Edwardian theatre into an arena for debate about important political and social issues like marriage, class, the morality of animals and war, and the rights of women. John Millington Synge belongs to the first decade of the 20th century. His most famous play is The Playboy of the Western World, which caused the outrage and riots when it was first performed in Dublin in 1907. And novel. One of the popular British writers of the early years of the 20th century was Rudyard Kipling. He is a highly versatile writer of novels, short stories, and poems, and he also the youngest ever recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1907. He was also the first English language author to win the prize. Amongst the novelists, other important early modernists include Dorothy Richardson, whose novel Potted Roof is one of the earliest examples of the stream of consciousness technique which is used in the literary modernism. And the third part is themes, model of character, and points of view. The common themes of modernism are alienation, the championship of the individual, reality versus perception, subconscious mind and conscious mind, breakdown of the social norms. The character in this kind of work often got failure, which requires readers to take care in reading them, and they often lost faith in society and religion. Authors' points of view here, um, They prefer to write from a first person perspective to get a more personal view of the story. In other words, modernist writers wanted to exploit the character's flows of thoughts. So in the part 4, the main characteristics of English literature in the first half of the 20th century, there are 5 main characteristics: individualism, formalism, absurdity, symbolism, and experimentation. Firstly, let's talk about individualism. According to Cambridge Dictionary, the idea that freedom of thought and action for each person is the most important quality of society rather than shared effort and responsibility. This definition is individualism. Modernist writers consider the world as a challenge to the integrity of people. An example of this is Edward Morgan Foster, known as E.M. Foster. He has many works discussing class and in social status, but he also displayed an interest in the individual values. His most well-known works is A Room with a View. Um, a Room with a View tells the story of a romantic love between Lucy Honeychurch and George Emerson. While Lucy feels obligated by social class to marry her wealthy fiancé Cecil, in the end she is unable to deny the chemistry with George and decides that they are destined to be together. The next characteristic is formalism. It is an artistic or literary style that is more concerned with form, rules about the arrangement of different elements than with expressing feelings or meaning. Writers of modernist period desire for creativity and originality. One of the most influential literary works of the first half of the 20th century is William Emerson's Seven Types of Ambiguity. In this literary work, Emerson sought to enhance the reader's understanding of a poem by isolating the linguistic properties of the text. He suggested that words or references in poems are often ambiguous and, if presented coherently, carry various meanings that can improve the reader's appreciation of the work. This work is typical of modernism in requiring the reader to take an active role in interpreting the text. The third characteristic of modernism is absurdity. It means the quality of being stupid and unreasonable or silly in a humorous way. Modernist writers were affected by the bloodshed of the Two World Wars. A number of great writers died or were wounded in the First World War. Society was being reorganized by global capitalism. For many writers, society was turning more absurd and alien every day. An example of this feature is Virginia Woolf's drama, Freshwater. It is exposed to the innate absurdity. In this work, infant England was absurdly embodied in little Phyllis Jones, who forgets her lines and repeats 3 times, "England am I, England am I, England am I," until Mrs. Within is provoked to ask, "England, that little girl?" And the next one is symbolism. It is the use of symbols in art, literature, films, etc. to represent ideas. Writers consider that objects, events, people, etc. have significant meaning. This feature is not new in literature, but it was an innovation in modernist literature. A notable novel of this characteristic is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. The obvious symbol in the novel is darkness, which is highlighted in the novel's title. Air is expected. Darkness stands for ideas such as evil, madness, and depravity. Another symbol in the novel is the sepulchral city. A sepulchre is a tomb or burial place. It is beautiful on the outside, but hollow in center, and often represents the death. In the novel, the sepulchral city symbolizes European civilization. It has a beautiful exterior but is hiding something hollow and foreboding. The last characteristic is experimentation. It means the process of trying methods, activities, etc. to discover what effect they have. Writers in this period did not follow the traditional form and used stream of consciousness techniques. This characteristic is evidenced in the experimental works of James Joyce, which is Ulysses. As you can see in the highlighted lines here, a soft qualm, regret flow down his backbone, increasing will happen, yes, prevent, useless, can't move, girls with light lips will happen too. He felt the flowing qualm spread over him, useless to move now, lips kissed, kissing, kissed, full gluing woman's lips. So we see here a deep focus onto the inner self and the consciousness of being. It is shown in the sensual experience of hesitancy and desire for the kiss of a woman. The emphasis here is less about the proper form and structure but more on the experiential exploration of the inner workings of human consciousness. So that is the end of my presentation. So thank you for your attention. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. Thank you.